Welcome guys, so new message for this week from the Galactic Centre. So when I wrote this, or when I put the intention to write this message, I wasn't too sure what was going to come through, but my intention was to get an update with this second wave and what's really going on behind the scenes. And you can start to see now the hypocrisy is so overt. There's so many different rules and different, this whole thing is starting to fall apart from the, shall we say, the dark end of the spectrum. And then I mentioned last week the polarity is shrinking now. So the oscillation is very minimal. So what you put out is going to come straight back to you. And so, of course, you're starting to see this more. And I think in the next few weeks, it's going to be very, very interesting. Especially with all the face masks and these different rules they're sort of imposing now, and the hypocrisy in those rules doesn't make sense. And I'm talking to a lot of I would say mainstream people that would sort of listen to the government, would so much listen to this type of information, and they are saying there's something fundamentally wrong. So already, and for me, I've had probably 6 or 7 people in the last few weeks that have been mainstream that have said that, and it's enough for me to start to understand that the frequency is already changing. I mean, we can tune into it intuitively and see behind the scenes, but it's actually nice to talk to mainstream people that would normally listen to the government, actually questioning it now. So this means that that energy is starting to come over to the light side now, and this message that's going to come through talks a little bit about that. And it's talking about the frequency of the emotional body. Now, I'll explain a little bit more detail. There's a procedure that they give us, and I'll explain a little bit more in detail about that at the end. And it's definitely something you should be working on now. Very simple, very quick, but very profound and very lasting effects that it has on cleansing, or shall we say transforming the emotional body. So what's going to happen now is the frequency of our energy field and the meridian system that our physical body is built upon. Because when a soul decides to come into physicality, it sets that intention first to have a physical life. And then what gets laid forward is the meridian system. Now, the meridian system is what we class as sort of the blueprint, shall we say, of the physical body. So everything is grown from that meridian blueprint. So all of the stuff we bring in from other lives, whether it's betrayal, anger, fear, all gets wired in to that meridian system. And then, of course, when the heart, the hypothalamus and all the organs start to form, then what happens is that imprint starts to push into those organs and into the chakras. And of course, we then hold the imprints from our other lives, or the unresolved magnetic patterns, trauma, emotional baggage, and all the rest of the stuff that the soul hasn't processed yet. So everything gets wired into the infant. So the meridian system is where we receive consciousness from spirit and from the universe. So what will happen, when you get the chills on your skin, that's consciousness coming into the body. It's also affirming certain things that are happening. So when consciousness comes into the body, it transforms into electrical current. And then that electrical current needs to move through the body, and this is why we have to drink water, but it's also why our body is mostly water. It's so that consciousness and feeling can move through us with ease and comfort. And it's only our belief systems and magnetic patterns or emotional upheaval that holds or stops or blocks that frequency moving through our body uninterrupted. Now, when the meridian system really is a sort of satellite communication system. So we are able to tune in through that system into other dimensional frequencies. And this is also how we can communicate via that meridian system to our multidimensional aspects of ourselves and to our soul team and just to spirit in general. But the meridian system is really is trying to come back into people's awareness, because once the meridians are working efficiently, alignment to our soul and spirit and fourth density living will become very, very easy, and it will just naturally flow and that is when you will start seeing different things, and of course all our senses will be heightened, and we'll be able to sort of open up into our psyche a lot deeper. And the best thing about that is having clear communication with the soul, where you can actually listen and hear the soul depending on what psychic senses you've developed, but just get a sense, because what's happened is inadequacy is so apparent in people that it's become its own entity and it's wrapped itself around the soul. Now the soul sits in the solar plexus chakra, so the frequency that sits there, if the soul frequency is blocked by inadequacy, it can't imprint the third eye, which is its buddy, or which is its connection. And this is all taught in the numerology that I've been speaking about, which Jennifer and Starlight does that down in Australia. And she explained to me a long time ago about the buddy system, and this is what we'll be teaching as well in the numerology, that every chakra has a buddy, so one will be affected by the other and vice versa. So the fourth chakra is the solar plexus, which sits with the third eye. Now this is where the imprint or the feelings from the soul come through that meridian system into that chakra via the soul, and then if that's blocked, you can't imprint the mind with right action. So what happens is people get stuck in their head, and this is why people can't feel any longer, because the inadequacy is so warped and twisted that the imprint is not coming into the third eye, which will then affect the mind. So really the meridian system is, if we can understand the meridian system, and this is where the vibrational medicine comes in and quantum healing comes in, will start to shift the blueprint, and then that will have an effect on the physical body. So you're going to start working from outward inward in some sense. But I'll be talking a lot more about that in the teachings, and we're actually getting them put together now, so it's coming along. So it should be long now. So the meridian system will be talked a lot about, and I'll show you a bit more how that works and the importance of keeping that clear, and also knowing that once that is clear, you are then able to change your frequency naturally. Okay, so it's not something you have to again ascend to. It's just removing the blockages that are stopping that frequency connection. Okay, so this is also why people might be manifesting sort of lumps, bumps, and all the rest of it, fluid retention, getting headaches, stiff back, lower back issues, or just aches, general aches and pains anywhere, because the energy is trying to come out now. And what's happening is, because we're not conscious of what's actually subconscious, it's getting stuck in the physical body. And this is why we have to balance the fire and water energy. I don't know if I spoke about it last week, I think I touched on it last week or the week before, about the balance of water and fire energy, and especially in our Western culture, we're running on too much fire energy. And this is what blows out the chakras, blows out the muscles, blows out the ends of the nervous system. And it will frazzle the nervous system without the combination of water. So you always have to have a receiver and a conductor, and they have to be in combination with each other, because if there's too much fire energy, it creates fear, it carries fear, and it also carries anger. And this is why people are very fearful and very angry, because of just don't have the balance of the feminine and the water. And it comes back down to the crucial elemental structure of our bodies and the elements of the earth. So we're going to get into a lot of that, and we've actually got the medicine for this, the frequency medicine, or channeling of essences from planets and actual different frequencies that will assist the body, the brain, the mind complex, the emotional body, the mental body, to assist it to bring its frequency forward, to come into alignment with what the soul agenda is, because each one of us has our own soul agenda, our soul contract, and now we are being asked to come into that contract and reunite with that contract, to keep that frequency moving forward. So I'm going to just talk to you, just read out this channel message now. Okay, so I don't know who the 7 guardians of the Galactic Centre are. I know about the Galactic Centre. Obviously the Galactic Centre is an aspect of our galaxy where, shall we call them higher dimensional frequency beings, sit, and they would sort of monitor and look after our galaxy. Let's just call it that. And I'm sure many people have heard about different beings that are looking after our quadrant of our galaxy, our universe, etc., etc. So these are more. This is more like headquarters, or the local council town centre, and they will sort of govern and watch over evolving planets and many other aspects. And they obviously look after the trade system that goes on between the planets as well. Not just on a physical, but these beings are working multi-level frequencies or dimensions. So 7 guardians of the Galactic Centre, and maybe I will find out who they are or why it's called the 7 guardians of the Galactic Centre. What you are seeing on your planet is a scorching, a cleansing of the polarity spectrum, the heaviness of the shadow and all that dwell in the shadows. Some will see through their psychic sight a brown colour of what we represent to you as a scorching of these energies. Some will view it as electrical energy like a storm. To understand what is truly transpiring on your planet, you need to look at your own denial. Because in truth, the shadow is so overt now that everyone can start to see how lies and misinformation is broadcast to you every second of every day. However, people are still in denial. Many too fearful to question, some so blinded by their own egos, and some so lost and fearful that even now they know societal structure is unbalanced. They still need a saviour at any cost. And this is where your own power is used against you. The propaganda of a saviour, whether it's Jesus, Buddha, kings and queens, or now in your modern world, governments. You are at the precipice both individually and collectively. But the real danger for you now is playing into the news outlets and allowing your emotional bodies to be used as punching bags, not to mention the grand insult on your intelligence. When you are emotionally moved by an event, situation, or person, it needs to be backed up with feeling, true feeling from the soul or consciousness itself. Your emotional bodies have been extremely abused and now riddled with too many belief systems to count. That really most people are reacting to these beliefs rather than their true feelings. And here lies the danger. You have to become aware of the machine that runs the human emotional body, rather farms it out for food to quell the thirst of some individuals and their agendas. When you react to something, it needs to be given time to sit within the heart. You need to bring that emotional reaction into the heart center, because only within the heart can you feel the truth in whatever situation, person, or experience that triggered you. All you need is the intention to feel the truth and your imagination to place it within the heart. If you start this very simple process, yet very powerful process, automatically you will start to open up the truth that already exists within your being. And when you master that, you will soon discover how powerful the truth is in your world of lies, propaganda, and illusion. This is going to change the frequency your emotional body gives off, which of course will affect everyone around you. Not to mention the frequency that has kept you numbed down, that has kept you scattered, insecure, in fear of your security. What is really happening is your experience in 3D illusion is shattering, and the chess pieces in play to create such an illusion are no longer needed. And so by embracing the truth, these illusionary figures, ideas, and control mechanisms can start to fall away with love. There is no battle occurring between the light and the dark, or your deep state cabal. Their souls have told them to let go as well, and this is why you will soon see more of the lies exposed. They simply are being told to let go as you are of your own emotional baggage. Their illusionary agenda is no longer needed. These cabal figures are now on their journey back into their hearts of their own souls. They, in truth, were never the enemy. It's only ever been your belief systems that lied to you and manipulated you. So you can see now why it's important for each individual to take responsibility for what they are putting out there. Moreover, reacting to. You must look within, and only within can you affect mass change on a global scale. It is not an outward endeavour. It's an internal relationship that will ensure success. Be careful how you digest information. The shadow ones are masters at manipulation, and you need to know they are upping their game at this time to try and secure their legacy. So you don't need to fight them. Fighting indicates there are two opposing sides. It's this split of two opposing sides that has kept you powerless to the truth. Instead, you take back your power by owning the truth in your own hearts and by using the exercise we just gave you. The truth is all powerful. The truth is where freedom can be experienced. The veil is thinning with the intention to introduce truth in a manner you can all cope with. And one truth will lead to another truth until all illusion is exposed within your 3D experience. You are all in a very powerful place right now to affect global healing. And this is why they imposed the second wave of COVID-19, which of course is fear-based. And that is all it is fear. Fear in separation, fear in control, and then pose as your saviours. The power and the light now coming on the planet is so charged with right intent. Nothing they can do can stop it. But it's up to you now to take back your sovereignty. So no more manipulation of your sacred energy centres and giving your power away. It's a choice, always has been. Okay, so that's a great message. So what they're saying really with the truth, and let me just come back so just make sure I'm clear with their message here. When they're talking about placing it in the heart, whatever's going on with you now, whatever's triggering you, whether it's fear of COVID, whether it's fear that, you know, they're going to take over, or we're going to lose our sovereignty or our power or our freedom, whatever that's bringing up in you, and it's the same as when they start exposing all this stuff on the news about what's happening with the children and all the rest of it, and organ trading and stuff like that, it's going to trigger fear, anger, sadness, but you must own those feelings, okay? You must sit with them and imagine it. When they're saying imagine it, you need to take that feeling and put it into your heart with your imagination and just set the intention to feel it there. It's a very, very simple process. The mind will get confused by it because it's too simple, and that's often what the ego mind does. It makes everything convoluted. So you need to sit with the feeling, and it's the same as when you hear stuff on the news, and you're like I said, your emotional body is being a punching bag. So whenever you hear anything from now on, from whatever news outlet or whatever's going on, wherever you find your news from, make sure you take that information first, especially if it triggers you emotionally. Put it in the heart, breathe through it for at least a minute, because it takes about a minute for the information to go to the soul and then come back with the right answer. It can take 30 seconds, say 30 seconds to a minute, generally. So just sit with that and allow the truth to come through. You know, and it's the same thing. It's like when we react to something, something just happens, we react, and we react as an impulse of anger from our belief systems. And it's like they say, just take a minute, just breathe. But what we're actually doing in that taking a minute and breathing is that energy is being transformed to the soul consciousness, and the soul is going, right, this is what you need to do. So when you've taken a minute from that situation, you're often very much calmer and you see it from a different perspective. And this is the same thing. You need to give that space energy, but what you're actually doing is you're not taking a minute and just breathing and everything will be right. You're conscious that you are putting that feeling or emotion that's been triggered into you into your heart, so the soul can digest it and give you the answer to that information, the truth, because then you need to feel it, and you will also get an understanding. You will also understand it as well, because the feeling will bring understanding, and it will bring a consciousness in words, if you want to put it that way. So just be aware, because that, if you do that, you're going to affect 10, 20, 30 people around you, and everyone starts doing it. It's the domino effect, okay? So, and this again, everyone that's taking sovereignty of their being is affecting global mass change, because it's the only way they can control us is through our fear, through our co-creative consciousness. So we are taking back our power. We're not getting into a fight, as it says, when there's not two opposing sides. All we're doing is we're owning our stuff, and that affects mass change. And it's like the Gaia message that was on last week. You know, the planet said, don't worry about me, just focus on your emotional bodies, because this is a time for humanity to take back their sovereignty. Okay, so, you know, again, Amun Min said, you know, the whole marching process, everyone's marching and going out there, but that will never change anything until the frequency in everyone that's marching is changed within their own bodies. Because why are they marching? They're angry, they're sad, they're pissed off. But you need to process those feelings first in your body, then go out and march. Because what you're doing is you're just in a reaction mode. You're not sending out a frequency of intention. Now, if everyone was grounded, processed their emotional bodies, then went on a march, the energy of that march would transform things tenfold. So that's why it's really important to come back just to what you are doing and get out of the mainstream so much now, at least for now, because we need to ground our own consciousness in our own bodies. All right, guys, thanks very much. Hope you're doing well, and I'll speak again next week. Take care.